The huge alien spaceship hung in the dark, empty space near Earth. Its shiny metal surface reflected the distant stars. Inside, Captain Minjin stood tall, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue and green planet below. "What a strange world," Minjin said softly. His skin changed color from blue to purple, showing his excitement. Next to him, Su-Yan, the ship's scientist, nodded. "It's unlike anything we've seen before, Captain." Their ship, the Starseeker, had been traveling for many years. They were looking for new life in the universe. Earth was the first planet they found that might have intelligent life. "Scan the planet," Minjin ordered. His voice was deep and clear. Su-Yan touched some buttons on a big screen. Numbers and pictures appeared quickly. Her eyes opened wide as she read the results. "Captain, this is amazing," she said. "The planet has so many different environments. There are hot deserts, cold icelands, deep oceans, and tall mountains. And there's life everywhere." Minjin moved closer to look at the screen. He couldn't believe what he saw. "How can life exist in such different places?" he asked. Su-Yan shook her head. "I don't know. It doesn't make sense. The creatures here must be very tough." Just then, another alien called Ta-Hyun spoke up. "Captain, I found something strange. There are big groups of life forms all over the planet. They might be intelligent." Minjin felt both excited and worried. "Show me," he said. On a big screen in front of them, pictures of Earth appeared. They saw cities with tall buildings, roads full of cars, and millions of people walking around. "Zoom in," Minjin said. The picture got closer. Now they could see individual humans. The aliens watched as people went about their daily lives. Su-Yan gasped. "Look at them. They only have 2 legs and 2 arms, and their skin doesn't change color at all." Tai-Hyun looked scared. "How do they survive? They look so weak." Minjin watched carefully. He saw a human lift a heavy box. Another human was running fast down a street. A third was swimming in the ocean. "They may look weak," Minjin said, "but they seem very strong, and they can live anywhere on their planet." The aliens kept watching. They saw humans in the cold Arctic, in hot jungles, and even deep underwater in submarines. "This is impossible," Su-Yan said. "No species should be able to live in so many different places. It's not natural." Minjin felt a chill go through his body. What if they're not natural? What if they're some kind of monsters? The other aliens looked at him with fear in their eyes. "Think about it," Minjin continued. "They can live anywhere. They're stronger than they look. And look at their planet. It's full of dangerous things. Maybe they're dangerous too." Su-Yan nodded slowly. "You might be right, Captain. We should be careful." Minjin made a decision. "We need to learn more about these creatures. Ta-Hyun, send out the small scout ships. Tell them to watch the humans closely, but don't let the humans see them." "Yes, Captain," Ta-Hyun said. He quickly sent the orders. Soon, 5 small ships left the Starseeker. They flew towards Earth, staying hidden in the clouds. Minjin watched them go. He felt worried. In all their travels, they had never found a species like humans before. Humans were too tough, too adaptable. It wasn't normal. "What are you?" Minjin whispered, looking at the image of Earth. "Are you really monsters?" As the scout ships got closer to Earth, Minjin and his crew prepared themselves. They were about to learn more about humans, but they were also scared. What if humans were as dangerous as they feared? The first contact between aliens and humans was about to begin, and it was starting with fear and mistrust. Su-Yan sat in her lab on the Starseeker, her eyes fixed on the screens showing Earth. The small scout ships had been watching humans for days now. What she saw both amazed and terrified her. "Captain Minjin," she called through the ship's communication system. "You need to see this." Minutes later, Minjin entered the lab. "What have you found?" he asked. Su-Yan's hands shook as she brought up the first video. "Look at this human," she said. The screen showed a man lifting heavy weights in a gym. His muscles bulged as he lifted more than twice his body weight. How is that possible? Minjin asked, his skin turning a pale green in shock. That's not all, Su-Yun said. She played another video. This time, they saw a woman running a marathon. She had been running for hours, yet she kept going. Their endurance is incredible, Su-Yun explained. They can keep moving long after our people would have collapsed. Minjin's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Are they some kind of super beings? Su-Yun shook her head. It gets worse, she said. She showed more videos. Humans eating all kinds of food, from plants to animals to things that looked like poison. They can eat almost anything, she said. And look at this. The next video showed humans in a very hot desert. Then it changed to show others in a freezing cold place. They can live in temperatures that would kill us, Su-Yun said. It's like they're made to survive anything. Minjin felt fear growing inside him. How is this possible? He asked. Su-Yun looked at him with worried eyes. I have a theory, she said, but you won't like it. Tell me, Minjin said. Su-Yun took a deep breath. I think they might be artificial life forms, she said, created to be the perfect survivors. Minjin's skin turned dark blue with fear. You mean, someone made them? Su-Yun nodded. It's the only explanation I can think of. No natural species could be this adaptable, this tough. Just then, Ta-Hen's voice came through the communication system. Captain, you need to see this. He sounded scared. Minjin and Su-Yun rushed to the ship's control room. On the main screen, they saw a video from one of the scout ships. It showed a human city, but something was wrong. There was a big fire in one of the tall buildings. As they watched, they saw human firefighters rush into the burning building. They went into the fire, risking their lives to save others. They're going into the fire, Minjin said in disbelief. Why would they do that? Su-Yun shook her head. It doesn't make sense. Unless what? Minjin asked. Unless they're not just tough, but fearless, Su-Yun said. Maybe they were created to be perfect warriors. The aliens watched as the firefighters came out of the building, carrying people. The humans were hurt and scared, but alive. Look at that, Ta-Hen said. They're saving their weak ones. Why would warriors do that? Minjin felt confused. These humans were strong and tough, yes, but they also seemed to care for each other. It didn't fit with the idea of them being monster warriors. We need to know more, Minjin said. Su-Yun, keep studying them. Ta-Hen, tell the scout ships to get closer. We need to understand what these humans really are. As Minjin gave these orders, he felt worry growing inside him. The humans were a mystery. They seemed dangerous, but also caring. They were tough beyond belief, but they used that toughness to help each other. What are you really? Minjin whispered, looking at the images of Earth. Are you monsters, or are you something we've never seen before? The Star Seeker continued to orbit Earth, hidden from human eyes. But as they watched and learned more, the aliens' fear began to mix with something new, curiosity. The humans were strange and scary, yes, but they were also becoming more and more interesting. The mystery of humanity was far from solved, and as the aliens prepared to look closer, they had no idea how much more complicated things were about to become. Admiral Jae-Hwan stood tall in the big meeting room of the alien mothership. His dark purple skin showed how serious he felt. Around him, other important aliens sat and waited for him to speak. We have watched the humans for many days now, Jae-Hwan said. His voice was deep and strong. It's time to decide what to do. Captain Minjin stood up. Admiral, the humans are very strange. They are strong and can live anywhere. But they also help each other. We don't understand them. Su-Yun, the scientist, nodded. That's true. They might be dangerous, but we're not sure. Admiral Jae-Hwan's skin turned a darker purple. He looked angry. "We can't take chances," he said. "These humans could be a big danger to our whole galaxy." "But sir," Minjin said, "what if we're wrong? What if they're not dangerous?" Jae-Hwan shook his head. "We must think of our own safety first. I say we should attack Earth now, before the humans can hurt us." The room got very quiet. Everyone looked shocked. "Attack?" Su-Yeon asked. "But we don't know enough about them yet." "That's why we need to act now," Jae-Hwan said, "before they find out about us and attack first." Minjin didn't like this idea. "Sir, with all respect, I think that's too much. We should try to talk to them first." Jae-Hwan's skin turned red with anger. "And risk our whole civilization? No, we will attack." Just then, a young alien named Yuna stood up. She was a commander of special forces. "I have an idea," she said. Everyone turned to look at her. "We can send a small team to Earth," Yuna said. "We can learn more about the humans up close. Then we can decide if we need to attack." Admiral Jae-Hwan thought about this. His skin slowly turned back to purple. "That could work," he said, "but it would be very dangerous." Yuna nodded. "Yes, but my team is the best. We can do it." Jae-Hwan looked around the room. "Does anyone disagree with this plan?" No one spoke. Even Minjin and Su-Yeon stayed quiet. They didn't like the idea of attacking Earth, but they knew Yuna's plan was better than starting a war right away. "Very well," Jae-Hwan said. "Commander Yuna, you will take your team to Earth. Learn everything you can about the humans. Find out their weaknesses. Prepare for our attack." Yuna stood up straight and proud. "Yes, sir. We won't let you down." As the meeting ended, Minjin went to talk to Yuna. "Be careful down there," he said. "The humans are more complex than we thought." Yuna nodded. "Don't worry, Captain. We'll be ready for anything." Later that day, Yuna met with her team. There were 5 of them. Yuna, Da-Jung, Yeonji, Seong-min, and Jae-Yun. They were the best special forces the aliens had. "Listen up," Yuna said. "Our mission is very important. We're going to Earth to learn about the humans. We need to find out if they're really as dangerous as we think." Dae-Jung, the team's tech expert, looked worried. "What if they see us?" he asked. "They won't," Yuna said. "We have the best stealth technology. We'll be invisible to them." Yeonji, the team's scout, nodded. "And if something goes wrong, we can always call for help." Yuna shook her head. "No, we can't. We'll be on our own down there. If we call for help, it might start a war. We have to handle everything ourselves." The team looked at each other. They knew this would be their hardest mission ever. "Get ready," Yuna said. "We leave for Earth in 1 hour." As her team prepared, Yuna looked out a window at the blue and green planet below. Earth looked peaceful from far away. But Yuna knew that looks could be deceiving. "Are you really monsters?" she whispered. "Or are we the ones making a big mistake?" With those thoughts in her mind, Yuna went to get ready. Soon, she and her team would be on Earth, face to face with the mysterious and possibly dangerous humans. The future of 2 civilizations might depend on what they discovered. Commander Yuna and her team landed on Earth in the middle of the night. Their small ship was hidden in a thick forest. As they stepped out, they looked around with wide eyes. "It's so green," Yeonji whispered. She had never seen so many plants before. Yuna nodded. "Remember, we're here to learn about the humans. Stay alert and don't touch anything unless I say so." The team turned on their invisibility shields. To human eyes, they would look like nothing more than a shimmer in the air. "Let's move," Yuna said. "There's a human city nearby. We'll start there." As they walked through the forest, strange sounds filled the air. Birds sang, insects buzzed, and small animals ran through the bushes. The aliens jumped at every noise. How do humans live with all this life around them? Seong-min asked. He looked nervous. "Maybe that's why they're so tough," Dae-Jung said. They have to survive here. Soon, they reached the edge of the forest. In front of them was a human city. Tall buildings reached into the sky. Cars moved along the roads. People walked on the sidewalks, even though it was night. "Look at them all," Jae-yun said. "There are so many." Yuna watched the humans closely. "Let's get closer. We need to see how they act." The team moved into the city. They walked down the streets, watching the humans. They saw people talking, laughing, and helping each other. It wasn't what they expected. "They don't look like monsters," Yeonji said softly. Just then, they heard a loud noise. The big red truck with flashing lights raced past them. "What was that?" Seong-min asked, his voice shaking. "I don't know," Yuna said, "but let's follow it." They ran after the truck. It led them to a building where smoke was coming out of the windows. Flames flickered inside. "Fire," Dae-jung said. "The building is burning." They watched as humans in special suits ran into the burning building. Other humans sprayed water on the fire. "What are they doing?" Jae-yun asked. "Why are they going into the danger?" Yuna shook her head. "I don't understand. This isn't how monsters should act." Suddenly, one of the humans in a special suit came out of the building. He was carrying a small human child. The child was crying, but alive. "They're saving each other," Yeonji said. She sounded surprised. The team watched as more humans were saved from the fire. The humans worked together, risking their lives to help others. "This doesn't make sense," Yuna said. "If they're so dangerous, why do they care so much about each other?" As the fire was put out, the team moved away. They walked through the city, thinking about what they had seen. "Maybe we were wrong about them," Seong-min said. But just then, they heard angry shouting. In a dark alley, they saw two humans fighting. One had a knife. "Look," Dae-jung said. "They are violent." Yuna watched closely. The human with the knife was trying to take something from the other human. "It's not all of them," she said. "Just this one is being bad." Suddenly, they heard a loud sound. More humans in blue clothes arrived. They stopped the fight and took away the human with the knife. "They have rules," Yuna said, "and others who stopped the bad ones." The team looked at each other. They were confused. Humans were not what they expected at all. "We need to learn more," Yuna said. "This is just the beginning." As they walked away, Yuna thought hard about what they had seen. Humans were strong and tough, yes, but they were also kind and helpful. They had rules and tried to be good. Are they really monsters? Yuna wondered. Or are they something else? Something we don't understand yet. The night was still young, and there was much more to learn about the strange and surprising humans. As the sun rose over the city, Yuna and her team found a quiet place to rest. They had been watching humans all night and needed time to think about what they had seen. "What do we tell Admiral Jawan?" Yeonji asked. She looked worried. Yuna shook her head. "I don't know yet. We need to see more." Just then, Da-jung's computer made a soft beeping sound. "Commander," he said, "one of our scout robots is not responding." Yuna felt worried. Where was it last? Dae-jung checked his computer. "In a place called a park not far from here." "We need to find it," Yuna said. "If humans discover it, our mission could be in danger." The team turned on their invisibility shields again and headed to the park. It was early morning, and the park was almost empty. They searched carefully, trying not to make any noise. Suddenly, Seong-min pointed. There. They saw their small robot scout. It was on the ground, not moving, but next to it was a young human boy. He was looking at the robot with big, curious eyes. "Oh no," Jae-yun whispered. "He's seen it." The team watched, not sure what to do. They couldn't let the human boy take their robot, but they also couldn't reveal themselves. The boy picked up the robot gently. He looked at it closely, turning it over in his hands. Then he did something that surprised the aliens. He started to fix it. "What is he doing?" Yeonji asked. They watched as the boy used small tools from his backpack to open the robot. He looked inside, touched some parts, and then closed it again. To the team's amazement, the robot started working again. "He fixed it," Dad Jung said, sounding shocked. "How did he know how?" The boy smiled at the working robot. Then he put it back on the ground and watched it move away. He didn't try to keep it or show it to anyone else. "I don't understand," Yuna said. "Why did he help it? Why didn't he keep it?" As the boy left the park, the team collected their robot. It was working perfectly. "This human child," Yuna said, "he was smart enough to fix our advanced technology, but he was also kind enough to let it go." The team looked at each other, feeling confused. This was not how monsters should act. Later that day, they saw more things that surprised them. They watched humans help each other in small ways, holding doors open, giving directions to lost people, sharing food with those who had none. But they also saw humans do amazing things. They saw a human lift a heavy car to save someone trapped underneath. They saw another human run into a fast-moving river to save a drowning dog. "They are so strong," Seong Min said, "but they used their strength to help others." As the day went on, the team saw both good and bad things. They saw humans argue and fight, but they also saw humans make up and forgive each other. "They're not perfect," Yuna said, "but they're not monsters either. They're complicated." That night, as the team rested, Yuna made a decision. "We need to tell Admiral Jae-hwan the truth," she said. "Humans are strong and sometimes scary, but they're not evil. We can't attack them." The others nodded in agreement. They had seen enough to know that humans were not the monsters they had feared. But just as Yuna was about to send a message to the ship, they heard a loud alarm. Red lights flashed in the distance. "What's happening?" Yunji asked, looking scared. Yuna checked her computer. Her eyes went wide with shock. "Oh no," she said. "Our ship. It's been discovered. Humans have found it in the forest." The team looked at each other in fear. Their mission was supposed to be secret. But now, humans knew they were here. Everything was about to change. "What do we do now?" Jae-yun asked. Yuna stood up, looking determined. "We need to get to our ship," she said, "before the humans do. Come on." As they raced towards the forest, Yuna wondered what would happen next. Would the humans attack them? Or would they surprise the aliens once again? The truth about humans was about to be revealed, for better or for worse. Yuna and her team ran through the dark forest. Their hearts were beating fast. They had to reach their ship before the humans did. "How much further?" Yunji asked, out of breath. "Not far," Yuna said. "Keep moving." Suddenly, they heard voices ahead. Human voices. The team stopped and turned on their invisibility shields. "Careful," Yuna whispered. "We don't know how they'll react if they see us." They moved quietly through the trees. Soon, they saw lights in a clearing. Their ship was there, surrounded by human soldiers. "There are so many of them," Seong Min said, his voice shaking. Yuna watched the humans carefully. They had weapons, but they weren't attacking the ship. Instead, they were just looking at it, talking to each other. "They seem curious," Jung said, "not angry." Just then, a new human arrived. He wasn't wearing a soldier's uniform. He looked older and had kind eyes. "I'm Professor Kim," the man said to the soldiers. "Let me talk to them." Yuna and her team looked at each other in surprise. How did this human know there were aliens? Professor Kim walked closer to the ship. He held up his hands to show he had no weapons. "Hello," he said in a loud, clear voice. "We know you're out there. We mean you no harm. We just want to talk." The alien team was shocked. This wasn't what they expected at all. "What should we do?" Jae-yun asked Yuna. Yuna thought hard. They could try to fight and take their ship back, but that might hurt humans and start a war. Or they could talk to the humans and risk being captured. After a long moment, Yuna made her decision. "We'll talk to them," she said. "It's the right thing to do." Slowly, Yuna stepped out of the trees. She turned off her invisibility shield. The humans gasped when they saw her. "Hello," Yuna said, trying to sound calm. "I am Commander Yuna. We come in peace." For a moment, no one moved. Then Professor Kim smiled and walked towards Yuna. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "We've been hoping to meet you." Over the next hour, Yuna explained why they had come to Earth. She told Professor Kim about their fears that humans might be dangerous. Professor Kim listened carefully. Then he said, "We understand your fears. Humans can be scary sometimes, even to ourselves. But we're not monsters. We're just trying to learn and grow, like you." As they talked, the rest of Yuna's team came out of hiding. The human soldiers put down their weapons. Soon, aliens and humans were talking together, sharing stories, and asking questions. Yuna was amazed. These humans weren't attacking them or trying to capture them. They were being kind and friendly. "I think we made a big mistake," Yuna said to her team. "We thought humans were monsters, but they're not. They're just different from us." Just then, Yuna's communication device beeped. It was a message from Admiral Jawan on the mothership. "Commander Yuna," the Admiral's voice said, "we haven't heard from you. We're preparing to attack Earth. Report immediately." Yuna looked at her team, then at the kind humans around her. She knew what she had to do. "Admiral," she said, "stop the attack. The humans are not our enemies. They could be our friends." There was a long silence. Then Admiral Jawan spoke again. "Are you sure, Commander?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Yuna said. "I've never been more sure of anything." As the sun began to rise, Yuna looked around. Aliens and humans were talking and laughing together. It was a scene she never thought she'd see. "We were wrong to fear humans," she thought. "They're not monsters. They're complex and sometimes scary, but also kind and curious, just like us." Yuna smiled. This wasn't the end of their mission. It was just the beginning of something much bigger and more exciting. Friendship between two very different species. A month had passed since the night in the forest. The big alien ship, Starseeker, now floated peacefully above Earth. On board, Admiral Jawan stood next to Captain Minjin, looking out at the blue planet below. "I still can't believe how wrong we were," Jawan said. His skin was a calm blue color now. Minjin nodded. "Humans surprised us all. They're not the monsters we feared." Just then, Suyan entered the room. She was smiling, which was rare for her. "Admiral, Captain," she said, "it's time. The humans are ready for us." Together, they went to the ship's transport room. Commander Yuna was there with her team. They all looked excited. "Are you ready?" Yuna asked. Jae-hwan took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be," he said. In a flash of light, they all beamed down to Earth. They appeared in a large room full of humans. It was the United Nations building in New York. Professor Kim was there to greet them. "Welcome, friends," he said with a warm smile. The room was quiet as Jae-hwan stepped forward. He looked at all the human faces watching him. Some looked scared, others curious, but most looked friendly. "People of Earth," Jae-hwan began, "a month ago, we came to your planet in fear. We thought you might be dangerous monsters. We were wrong, and we're sorry." He paused, then continued. "We've learned that humans are complex. You can be scary sometimes, yes. You're strong and smart in ways we didn't expect. But you're also kind and curious. You care for each other and for other living things. You're not monsters. You're amazing." The room was silent for a moment. Then, slowly, people began to clap. Soon, the whole room was filled with the sound of applause. One by one, humans came up to meet the aliens. They shook hands, asked questions, and shared stories. Su Yun was surrounded by human scientists, all eager to learn from her. Minjin talked with human leaders about how their two species could work together. Yuna found herself talking to a group of human children. They were fascinated by her 4 eyes and color-changing skin. "Are you really aliens?" one little girl asked. Yuna smiled. "Yes, we are. Just like you're aliens to us." "Cool," the children said together. As the day went on, both aliens and humans learned more about each other. They found that they had a lot in common, even though they looked different. Later, Jae-hwan met with the human world leaders. They talked about the future. "We want to be friends with humans," Jae-hwan said. "We can learn so much from each other." The human leaders agreed. They decided to start a program where aliens and humans could visit each other's worlds. As the sun set, the aliens prepared to return to their ship, but they knew they would be back soon. "Thank you," Professor Kim said to Yuna. "You showed us that we're not alone in the universe, and you showed your people that different doesn't mean dangerous." Yuna smiled. "We should thank you," she said. "You showed us that sometimes the things we fear the most can become our greatest friends." Back on the Starseeker, the aliens looked down at Earth. It didn't seem scary anymore. It looked beautiful and full of wonder. "You know," Minjin said, "in a way, the humans are monsters." Everyone looked at him in surprise. Minjin smiled. "They're monsters of kindness, monsters of curiosity, monsters of friendship. And those are the best kinds of monsters to be." As the Starseeker prepared for its journey home, the aliens knew that this was just the beginning. They had found not just a new planet, but new friends. The universe suddenly seemed a lot less scary and a lot more exciting. And on Earth, humans looked up at the stars with new eyes. They knew now that they weren't alone, and they were ready for the amazing adventures that lay ahead. The fear was gone. In its place was hope, curiosity, and the start of a beautiful friendship between two worlds.